prepare, make some good profits today. Now market lifters, big clues right here. Now just take a look how beautiful this is. Penny perfect at the magenta, isn't it? You see where the 5-day moving average is too, as well as this blue rhythm. Just absolutely beautiful. Very key liquidity here. You see the 20-day still trending with the 5-day moving average here, and the 5-day trending with the magenta rhythm here. Just as I talked about in yesterday's video, you have to prepare for this as we wrap up the end of the week. Now there's a link to the description for yesterday's video. You have to watch it after this one if you have not, to understand the key liquidity levels that I was talking about in that video. So please watch that a little later. But more importantly, let's take a look at some of the clues in the microstructure here. Now, right in the morning, we already identified the teal algorithm here. Now, this is 9:36 in the morning. If you can take a look here, 9:36 in the morning. And 9:36 is right here. That's as early as it can get. And interestingly, this is how we are able to see and identify the teal algorithm right here. And remember, I told you about how it needs to break out of that. And you see how the market just grab the liquidity very quickly and wait for the teal to start building liquidity here. You see the blue and the teal building liquidity, especially off the orange algorithm here, and forming that beautiful inverse head and shoulder pattern before we started retesting that 5-day moving average again. Now, absolutely to the penny right here, because I want you to see the teal algorithm building the liquidity here together with the pink. And I charted this pink algorithm as well. And just take a look how beautiful that structure is, especially off that. Now, this will be very important because I want to talk a little bit about this later on. This is important. And so you see how it has always been teal algorithm building liquidity on the way up or to the 5-day moving average right there. Now, at 2 o'clock here, now this is when we started seeing some tapering here. So 2 o'clock on the chart will be about right here. Once we, almost failed to see breakout. Now, you don't see any strong buying continuation. You're always seeing the orange trying to taper here. Just take a look how penny perfect the orange is together with the 5-day moving average. And more importantly, you see the magenta starting to build more liquidity. You see how the market tried to grab this liquidity here. Penny perfect, isn't it? While retesting the magenta algorithm, and more importantly, there's a starter position here grabbing the early liquidity of the 5-day moving average. Now, unfortunately, this was a final 10-15 minutes move. If this were to come much earlier, it will be more ideal, especially if you're trading 0-day to expiry. So while on hindsight this looks absolutely blockbuster, you have to remember, not all trades are created equal, especially this near 15 minutes. So, obviously we're trading 0-day to expiry, something that's out of the money. This will be a pretty risky trade. So you just have to be very careful. Don't look at this and think, on hindsight, this looks great. Obviously it does. So if you miss this trade, that's fine, absolutely fine, even though you can have the best algorithms there is. Not all trades are created equal, so don't feel that you missed this. If you didn't take this, the only reason you would have taken this is if you have this, understanding that there is this pink algorithm here. Now, this is important because a big part of understanding when to go long here is to know this pink algorithm is in place. So when you have this pink algorithm and the 5-day moving average, now you see when you know to prevent yourself from going long, especially if there isn't a strong buying continuation out of this structure right there. And obviously seeing how magenta is tapering in the range right here, you know that this is a taper before it starts heading down. So sometimes seeing the algorithms here helps you in making a decision not to go long yet until you see a certain head that's forming. Now, if this starts forming here, if we had more time or even tomorrow, this will be absolutely ideal, isn't it? So let's talk a little bit about that. So understanding the algorithms help you in, in a way, planning for your trades, knowing when to take what and not, and understanding to see the liquidity in that range. So this trade down only worked because there was this blue precision selling algorithm that I charted here to show that the intensity of the seller is heading down. So this is truly important right there. Now, it's about learning this skill, this lifetime skill, so you can do this for the rest of your life by learning to find 5-figure profit trades. And I've shown you it's very possible to do it, but it's a long-term skill you need to learn. So don't rush this. And most importantly, please do not join if you're looking for signals. Signals will ruin you. You need to learn this skill for a lifetime. So you can do this every single day for the rest of your life. And we're talking about $10,000 a day. Not a month, mind you. Every single day. This skill is worth every ounce of your energy and determination to learn and master. It's not going to be easy. Why should it? But it is possible. Stay focused. Run this race strong. It will be life-changing, not just financially, but you will see how trading will make you a better person. Stay focused. We got this. Now, let's talk about what to prepare for. Now, remember, if you have not watched yesterday's video, please do so. In the link, in the description, I talked about some of the major zones, especially here where the liquidity is of that 5 and 20 day. Let's talk about that. But right now you see how we are still, technically selling in that magenta algorithm here. We could also go down. So pay close attention to that, and the main liquidity of that will come from here. So I want you to pay close attention to the 20-day moving average. Look out for some microstructure here, because this can continue heading down here to the orange, or if this wants to dump, it has to head down with the green. Now, the larger liquidity, as I mentioned, will be where the 20-day and 5-day moving average will be. Previously, that liquidity there. So if this wants to continue selling in that magenta, you can see how the liquidity can build. By then, your 5-day crossing below 20-day, as I talked about, there's a certain interjection right here, and grabbing the liquidity of that very key level here. So you know the levels to look out for if this wants to continue heading down. But otherwise, just be more mindful because, firstly, we have retested the 5-day moving average, and I talked about the liquidity level here, isn't it? So market can grab this liquidity absolutely easily. So pay close attention. It just requires maybe a nested structure because we have built so much liquidity near the 5-day moving average here. Now, on a larger scale, this is what you want to look out for if you want to go long. And this is important because if you remember, we talked about this yesterday, right? I talked about this pink, and I want you to see how it grabbed the liquidity on the way up here. This was the pink from yesterday, right? And you see how the pink is starting to build more liquidity as well. This wants to head up. So this is what you need to think about, especially off that liquidity level where the 5-day moving average is. Now this will obviously see the blue turn into some sort of support because the blue has been starting to sell, and you understand why, right? So if the blue continues to reject down and the selling continuation, you can see it's the magenta. Yeah. Now there's a larger one here, right? Yeah. And I talked about that, the larger liquidity level. So even if we grab that, you can afford to wait for your cups to close here. Now, when the cups close, you can wait for some structure before we start pushing out, grabbing the main liquidity here at that 685, 686 level. So there are plenty of levels. You can afford to wait for microstructure right there. Now, if you're feeling lost with the algorithms right here, that's fine. I have, the daily analysis every single day in the Discord server, together with about 11 episodes of secret training videos here now. So just a reminder that you have to, practice this. It's very important you practice. Very important you understand certain, methodologies before you start trading with this particular system. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you closer to opening bell.